Hi everyone, welcome to Traci Bautista Color. I am thrilled you are here to join me today. If you are here live, please say hi and let us know where you are joining in from. Today we're going to dive into some fun ideas for using my handcrafted artisanal pigment bars with a variety of mixed media. So I'm going to show you some fun examples and maybe some of my sketchbook pages, and I'm gonna kind of do some mini demos in between. So if you are here live, please say hi. Hey Phyllis from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, nice to have you here. Hey Heather, welcome. Sandra, welcome. And it's great to have you here. If you are watching this in the replay too, you can also say hi and let us know what you are doing in the studio today. As some of you may know, my Pigment Bars box subscription is open for a very limited time. It actually closes tomorrow, and it will probably be closed until the fall, maybe, or I haven't decided when it's going to open up again, but we had a few spots available, so I opened it up, and if you want to get in on it, oh, hold on, I hear myself. Oh, here it is. Okay, I had a window open. Let's see. Hey Shar, welcome. We have a worldwide audience. It's always fun to see who's here. For those of you who are my subscribers, if you have a favorite box that I've made, can you put it in the chat? I'd love to know which box has been your favorite so far. I have to go back and count how many collections I've done of the Pigment Bars, but I think I officially launched them in this version in 2021 or 22 maybe, and I forgot to turn off my do not disturb. There we go. And every quarter since then, I think, is when they have come out. So the last box, if you missed my last live stream, I did a live stream that gave you a little peek inside of the spring florals box, which was really, really pretty and fun. I think one of my favorites is probably the Nature's Graffiti. And I don't know if I have samples. I might have samples in some of the sketchbooks that I'm going to show you. But, hey Helen, welcome. And I will give you just an overview of what the Pigment Bars are. So if you're new to me and my channel, my name is Traci Bautista. I am a mixed media artist, a designer, product designer, an educator, and an author. And I'm also a paint maker. So I launched Traci Bautista Color in 2017, I think it was. But I've been making paint since 2010, around that time, I think. And it has grown into this really amazing side of my business, and now I create a number of products, including handcrafted watercolors and inks, and also my pigment bars, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the pigment bars are wax paint in a bar format, so you can use the bars as is, so I like to say dry like this, or cool, and you can also heat them and use them in heated wax applications. So like you could do wax monotypes, or you can also mix it with encaustic paints. You can also mix it with oil paints, and you can also use it with watercolor, inks, and acrylic. So it's a very versatile mixed media product, and I'm going to show you some things that you can do with them. Let's see. Hi, Sassy Cat. Nice to have you here. I will get to all your guys' questions about the subscription in a little bit. I just don't want to get off track, but I will come back. And if I forget, please let me know please let me know again, because the chat is going so quickly. But I will get back to your subscription questions and the renewal. Some of you are coming up in a year renewal, so I'm super excited to have you all. Okay, so the Pigment Bars box is usually the only way that you can get my Pigment Bars. Just because I have kept it on, it's easier for me for inventory wise and to know how much to make, because I do this in very small quantities. And so it is a quarterly subscription. So from time to time, I open up the subscription when there are some new spots available. And so this quarter, I am opening the doors just for, well, it's a couple more days, today and tomorrow. So if you want to get in, there is a link in the description, and you can find out more details. And I'll put it in the chat again later. But I want to switch to my desk, to my studio table, and then we are going to dive into some fun show and tell and play. Okay, hang tight. Okay, let's see. Heather says, I love the boho vibes and the evergreen one. Yeah, oh, I love the boho vibes too. That was a good one. And Shar says, I don't have a favorite because they're all my favorites. I love that, Shar. Thanks. Yes, and then I'll get to your Pigment Bars, the subscription question at the end. Oh, Heather says, oh, I love the Saints in the Shadows too. Awesome. Thanks, ladies. Yeah, let's see. Sandra says the Spring Pigment Bars box, and she loves those two colors of the Pigment Bars. I'm glad you are a chatty bunch. Awesome. Okay, so I just pulled a bunch of little pieces off of my studio shelves over here, just to show some examples really quickly of different things that can be done with the Pigment Bars. And I want to just show you just the versatility of them. So let me give you a close-up of what they look like. So here are a few. This is actually a mixed collection. I don't know. These are from a bunch of different collections, but I'll show you. Let's see, where's that box? I have a couple of boxes. So those of you who are my subscribers, or if you have purchased my paints and inks, sometimes you get different boxes, and they can also be recycled. And I just use one of my shipping boxes to put a bunch of colors in. These are from the most of these I think are from my Nature's Graffiti collection. And there may be some other ones in here, but I like to store them like sometimes I throw them in these boxes. Sometimes I put them in these trays. A lot of times when I'm working, so I have these little, they're actually hot dog trays I found at Smart and Final, but I like them because they are craft color and they're perfect size for the Pigment Bars, especially if you're just using a few for a project. So I'll stack them inside here just to transport them from a larger tray. So I have a few of these different ones on my studio table. This is the spring collection that just shipped. I think some of these are from the boho vibes and some of the holiday collection in here. And then let me show you one other thing. So if you do purchase if you purchased a few of the collections, you can also put them in larger boxes. So this is actually one of my shipping boxes that I get my supplies in, some of my bottles. And it has these little dividers. So I have some of my Pigment Bars and the wax pastels in here. And so this is a little bit easier to kind of see all the colors. I can't see like the pretty sides of these, like the way they're displayed this way, but at least I can see all of the different layers of colors, because the bars, usually have 2 up to like 5, sometimes 6 colors, depending. Like you can see here, like this one has a few different colors on that side, and then there's like 3 different colors on this side. But if you put them in something like this where you can kind of see what the different layers are, it's helpful when you're using them. So I can keep these out on my studio table if I wanted to just have them nicely displayed, so I could see like all the different colors that are on each of these bars. So I just thought I'd share that little peek inside of like ways to store them. And then if you do get the box, it comes in a box this size, and I use both sides. There is a little like cotton, because these are like little jewelry boxes, so it's great because it collects the extra wax, but I actually use the cotton also to clean off my sketchbook and my canvas pages or substrates. So you can also use the top, so you have 2 side by side if you wanted to, you know, put your pigment bars into something like that. Also, it's a nice way to stack them, and then you can just like slip them inside a drawer. So Heather says, love that mustard one. More of those, please. Yes, I know. That's actually one of my favorite colors. This is like, are you talking about this one? I think maybe, Heather. This is such an awesome color because let me show you. I'll show you on, this is black paper. So it's a little bit more transparent. This one doesn't have too much white in it, but if I were to put it on a background, let's see. This one has kind of a cream background. So you can see it on there, and then on like a craft paper background. They're super creamy, especially this time. It's getting warmer, so they are made of wax, so you want to make sure that when you do store them, they are in a cool area. Don't keep them out in the sun, because if you do, they will melt. It'll take a while for them to melt, but if they are in direct sunlight, they'll definitely get even more creamier. But they are great. You can use them melted. So on here, these are just colored normally, and then you can see where it gets a little bit more opaque. That was wet, so, or that was heated. So these are when the bars are melted, so you get a little bit more of an opaque coverage. So these were painted with the paintbrush. This was just drawn regularly. And then I think some of these are wax pastels down here, but all of these are a variety of the pigment bars. I think this is the, I think it might have been the holiday collection for that one. You can do some really fun resist techniques, and I'm going to show that in a little bit. And that's one of my favorite ways to use the pigment bars, is to use them as a resist, both with inks and watercolors, but also with acrylic paint. And then a lot of times I just love to create these abstract kind of color studies using the bars. This was the autumn collection of, I think in like 2023. I think it was 2023. We're going to do a little fun transfer with the pigment bars using some parchment paper. And then this was also monotypes. So using them, these were the transfer pages that I made. So you can see some of the color. It's so light because I printed it on another piece of paper. So you can use them heated. These are, you put the paper down on a griddle and you heat it. In my ink and wax class, I taught how to do this. And you can create these really beautiful image transfers using them, heated like monotypes. And then more just kind of playing with the bars heated. All of these little bits and pieces here were with different tools, stamps. You can use stamps when they're heated. I made this handmade stamp which it was up here on my desk. I think I must have moved it. And use that to make some prints. And then here's, oh, actually, here is one of the prints from the monotype transfer using the Pigment Bars heated. So there is so much that you can do with them. We're going to do a little fun tester mixed media page like this where you can kind of see all the different things that you can do with the Pigment Bars. I taught this inside my Play Collective membership just to show how versatile they are with the variety of mixed media. Most of this was with ink, and then a lot of different color pencils, some graphite pencils. All of these had Pigment Bars in it somewhere. This is acrylic paint, more graphite here at the top. So I love making these little color studies. We just did a color studies workshop inside my Play Collective this month and talked a little bit about how to really play with all of your tools and mixed media that you have. Again, this was actually my ink class. Those are from my ink class. This is one of my favorite techniques, using the Pigment Bars to make collage papers. And this is the frottage technique where you place, this is the actual stamp that I created. And I put it underneath this rice paper and then took a print of it with the actual Pigment Bars. So lots of different ways that you can use the bars when they are dry, and we'll do a couple of those. And then here are some more of those prints using, this is the heated Pigment Bars. So they make great collage papers. This is on rice paper also. And now I could collage that onto a canvas or into my sketchbook. And everywhere there's white paper, that's going to disappear a little bit because it is rice paper. Okay, so that's a little show and tell first. And then let's play a little bit so you can kind of see how these all work together. And I think I'm going to move this out of the way. I think I showed a few samples of Pigment Bars inside of here. One of my favorite backgrounds to use the Pigment Bars on are acrylic ground and paint. So this is actually acrylic ground. So I think this has a little bit of gesso and some super matte medium, and then it has a mixture of my watercolors and also pigment stones. And this type of background is perfect for the Pigment Bars. Any kind of acrylic, I like to use matte. So any kind of like matte kind of textured surface, I think is a fun way to experiment. And oils, you can actually mix in wax medium, oil, like drying linseed oil. And I did a bunch of testing in here, mixing it, like this is mixed with linseed oil, and this is with the RNF blender stick. So you see it creates more of a glaze. This is also RNF blender stick with the Pigment Bars. And then using the Pigment Bars by themselves, but also mixed in with some wax. And down here is the Pigment Bars and creating these sgraffito transfers with the parchment paper. So I have a lot of pages like this inside of my sketchbooks that show me how to how the different techniques work. So I encourage you to create those types of sketches or those types of pages in your sketchbook. And then I brought this out too because I wanted to do a little painting over that. This is the video that's up online right now showing the spring Pigment Bars and swatching that out, so you can see that on my YouTube channel. And then we're going to play a little bit. Let me look at the chat too to see. Oh, lastly, this is also some of the work that I did a video. There's actually a video of this process, kind of snippets of this process, because I taught this workshop inside my Play Collective too last month. but we worked with image transfers and acrylic paint, and then there's a bunch of the Pigment Bar resist underneath the acrylic paint, and then Pigment Bars on top. So these are some of the works in progress for a new collection that I've been painting. And so I like to start with these smaller pieces just to explore some ideas and color palettes and color studies. And then these sometimes will get, put or painted into a larger canvas. So not exactly, but just taking the ideas that I created in the smaller canvases. I've never really tried to like sketch something exactly small and then bring it bigger on a canvas. I always like to play with different elements, and then I may take like little bits and pieces of each of these pieces when I paint larger. So that's my process. I know there are some people who love to like sketch it tiny and then bring it to a bigger canvas, but I prefer just to play and to experiment. And then lastly, I just wanted to show some of the things that you could do with oil paint. So this is some of my Pigment Bars on top of oil paint. And I think this is actually that mustard one that I just showed you. And then some colored pencil also mixed in within. This is all Williamsburg oil paint, and these are just like my play sheets and my practice pieces, because this is not oil paper. It's actually the Canson XL sand grain, but I love the texture. So it works as a great base just to kind of play around and see how, the colors work together. This is with a wax medium. There's a little bit of Pigment Bar underneath, but Williamsburg makes this awesome wax medium that I love. It's got this satiny kind of matte finish, and it has this texture. So when it dries, I don't know if you can see it very well, it is so beautiful. So you can actually mix the Pigment Bar with the wax medium, and it dries completely in this like satiny matte finish. It's so pretty. I think I have a video on my YouTube that I talk a little bit more about that. But and I taught it in my oil and wax class last year. So more, I think I showed some of these at the last live stream. And then heating the Pigment Bars with a quilting iron, you can get some really beautiful glazing effects. This is all painted with the quilting iron, so you melt the Pigment Bars on the iron, and then you just kind of move the iron around on the page, and you get these really kind of serendipitous mark making that you don't really know exactly what's going to happen when you do that. So those are just some of the many ways that you can use these fun products. And I'm going to move some of these out of the way. I moved these to the side because I want to demo with them. Just put them on my lap. Okay, let me see if I have any questions. Thank you, everybody says. Yes, that one, mustard and hot dog trays. Thanks, Heather. Says brilliant ways to store. So if you just got here, I just showed a bunch of ways I like to store the Pigment Bars. And Sassy Cat loves the blues and greens. Nice. So while I'm doing this and getting set up, Heather had asked, signed up for Pigment Bars again, and my other one will not expire. Yeah, so Heather, I will double check and I'll email you about what your options are for that. And I can check, because if you signed up already for a year, the year actually ended with this new one that's coming up. So I think if it starts again, you'll have an option to either get the 2 boxes, or that one will just come as your next box. And that goes for you. Yes, Shar, if you are on the subscription already, it is an automatic renewal. You get an automated email that reminds you that it's going to be coming up with, I think it's like 3 days before, so that if you do need to cancel, you can. So just note that if you do cancel, you lose your spot, and we do have a wait list. And then if you want to get back in, if the price goes up, then you end up having to pay the higher price if you cancel. But there is that option. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of painting and some fun mark making. I have some of my inks. This is the new Wildflower collection. So if you sign up for the Pigment Bars box, the next collection is called Wildflower, and if you're part of the ink subscription, these are the ones that got sent out this past month in May. So that collection is has shipped, and I'm really excited about those. Okay, let's play a little bit. Let me get some. I guess I can do a little in here. And I actually, let me see if I wanted to do a demo. Well, I'm going to put this down really quick because I thought I had grabbed some papers that had that on it already, but I don't see any here. So we'll just put this on here. Let me just see if I can get it open. I don't know. Sometimes this thing is like, that one's too flimsy. I need a, oh, there. Whew. Okay. I just want to show you, this will only take a few minutes to dry while I'm working on something else. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the suit. This is Super Matte Medium by Golden. And I use it, ooh, that's a lot. I like to use it as a base for my pigment bars, my pigment stones, which are more like a soft pastel. So it's great for like any kind of water media kind of application, and or even colored pencil. Because it has a really nice texture, it creates this really great substrate for your mixed media. So I'm going to just show you once this dries, and I need to put this on here. I just have a little extra. I'll reuse the extra, but I'm only going to put it on half so I can show you what it does. So you can see the difference. So you can apply it with a brush. You can apply it with this little like color shaper thing, or even like a palette knife, or like a hotel room key, old hotel room key, or a credit card, and that'll get it nice and smooth. But I'm like not too worried if there's a little bit of lines in it. It's already drying, so that's ready to go. Let's see. Oh, I just realized that I forgot to get water. Let me put some of my drinking water in there. Okay, let me see if anybody has questions while I'm working on this. Heather says, I got a white R&F and experimented with blending. Yes, that's great. They work great with the R&F paint sticks. I love using them mixed with them. And I don't think I have one here. But what I do, I'll demo a little thing really quickly. I don't think I have my oil here either. It's in my other part of my studio. Let's see, do I have my other, well, I can use this, but I like to use my, this is more of a flimsy palette knife. So I have a couple of other palette knives, which I don't see here, but I'm just going to grab, let's see, let's grab this. So this one has this beautiful blue on it, and then it's got like a little bit of a lighter green on here. Those two, I love those two colors. This was part of the spring collection. But what I normally do is I take, just with my palette knife, you see what I did? I just kind of sliced it off of it like that. And you can actually, with oil and with the wax medium, you can actually mix it. So I'm just kind of smashing it here. These don't have anything to mix right now, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of how it goes. I should actually go grab some. Let me go see if I have my little oil sitting on my table out there, because there you can see it. But that's what I would do. So right now it works, you know, you can see a little of that color, but it'll make a really beautiful glaze. I forgot to grab the oil. Let me see if I can find it really quick. And I'll grab it. Hang tight. Oh, you want to go outside? Okay, go. Indy's here and wants to follow me. Okay, sorry about that. I found something. Let's see. Yes, Char, I saw your message. Yes, I will double check for you. So I have a little bit of walnut oil. What else do I have in here? I have walnut oil and I have linseed oil. So either one of these, they're both drying oils. Those work great to work with the pigment bars. And the other thing that is my favorite is this. It's wax medium. I love it because it's just beeswax and Damar resin and a little bit of linseed oil, and there's no smell. And I love the what it looks like when it's dry. It has that satiny look. So let me, while this is drying over here, let me find somewhere to put these things so I can show you. We're just making a little mess. Heather says no canceling allowed. You guys are funny. I love that. Okay, let's do this the proper way. I'm gonna move this, and I'm gonna move my palette over here. I love mixing on like this is a underneath I have marble, but this is also like a little marble tile right here. So I'm just gonna take this little bit that I smashed up from my, I probably should have cleaned this side off. Can you see that? Yeah. Hold on, let me just notice my camera is kind of moved a little. Okay. I'm just going to clean off this little bit over here. And just so I have a little bit more room. This is just watercolor. I just took it, and actually you can see where the super matte medium was or is, and then there's none there. See that like little line there? I don't like to waste any of the pigment, so I just put it in there. Okay, let's see if this will open with this little guy. I haven't opened this can in a while. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's good. So, I'm just going to take a little bit out. Oh, oh no, I got, the top layer got a little dry. Okay. So the top layer got a little bit dry. See how it's yellow? If you could dig underneath, it's got more of the white-ish color. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and then I just mix it in with the pigment bar. So you just have to kind of like take your palette knife and just keep blending it, and you see how it starts to just mix in there. And depending on, this wax medium has texture in it. I think I picked up a little of the watercolor. That's not a big deal. But now I'm gonna get this really pretty glaze of that pigment bar, and this will dry completely. It'll take a little bit of time to dry because it does have linseed oil in it. So do I have another palette knife around here? But you can see it just takes a little bit of working. And again, this is the Williamsburg wax medium. I don't use any kind of smelly other wax medium, so I'm not sure. You could probably do it with like Dorland's and cold wax, but I don't use any of those because they just have a really strong odor. And then when you're done with it, so I just made a little tiny pile. There's still some of the pigment bars here, but then I can like use it and create this like really beautiful textured swatch. And you can do like, you can scrape into it. I could also apply it with like this guy. So make sure I got all the acrylic off of there. Where are we? So I can smooth it out even more if I wanted to. But this really makes this beautiful glaze. I have some of the wax that didn't get smashed up in there. So you can get that kind of like really transparent. You can keep it a little bit thicker and get that texture. So I can just leave it to dry there. And I'll do these little experiments with it because I love to see, you know, what happens. You have to leave this open for a while obviously because it has oil in it, so it's going to take a couple of days to dry. You'll notice that the oil is going to come out of the back too, so you want to think about that wherever you do your test samples. I probably should have done it on a separate piece of paper, but it's not a big deal. I can put a piece of parchment paper over there. So that's using the wax medium by Williamsburg, and there's still a little bit of this on here. And I'm just going to leave it here for now, and I'll paint with it later. But you can also use a brush. I just like to use the palette knife because it does have that texture. I love using the palette knife or this guy just to paint with it. Let me get a piece of paper so that let's do it on this one. This is a great like little background. And again, because those colors that I blended in there are a little bit more transparent, that's what I'm getting. I'm gonna paint, it's like a paintbrush little piece in there. And depending on the pigment, so sometimes I didn't mix this one totally well, so I'm still getting a little bit of that texture in there, which I actually really like. So you can actually put it on top of these other colors, and then that'll blend even more with the other color that's underneath it too. So you can, I could kind of mix it in there if I wanted to. So it changed that to kind of this like mossy green color. And then you would just let this sit and dry for a little bit. And then you could go in, you can go back into them too once they, like you can do it like this while they're wet, but you can color over them again when they dry. So when it's still wet, it's not as vibrant, but once it dries, you'll have this like really nice textured base. So then you can come back into it. I could also scribble in with this is a Prismacolor pencil. So you can see actually it makes such a great, it's a lot more vibrant outside. Like if I look at it on the camera, it kind of faded a little bit, but it's actually really vibrant, this pink color in there. And so it kind of gives you a little color, but also gives you like this graffito line. So you'll be able to see the texture when that dries. Okay, I made this little accordion booklet with some super matte medium, and I think I mixed it with a couple of acrylic colors and golden fluid. This side's plain, but this side has the matte medium and I think it's probably buff titanium and what is that other one called that I love? The titanium pale one. Titan Pale Green, I think. I think that's what it's called. So that's using the Pigment Bars with a wax medium. You can also do the same thing. Like if you like to work with oils, you can pour out a little bit of oil onto your palette and work with the Pigment Bars with oil too. So it makes a really nice like layer on top if you wanted to do like a glaze of oil. And maybe I'll do that after I do a little bit of swatching over here. Let me just wipe up. I think I got all of this off of here. Most of it. And then I'm just going to wipe it off here. And I just use these Kirkland baby wipes. But if it's water soluble, I like to actually just take my brush first and then paint this onto a substrate before I clean it off, because that way I'm not wasting a lot of the paint. So right now you're seeing this has the super matte medium underneath on that side, and then if I put it on this side, this doesn't. So a little bit different way that the color moves around because it has like that medium underneath, so you're getting a little bit more areas of where a little bit more transparent color that comes through. And then I could take this and clean this back a little bit. I'm going to save that little wax medium and use it later. So let's do just some other color studies on here and using these with a couple of other tools. Let me move these over here so I can see some color. Okay, so that's mixed with the wax medium, and it's both colors, so it's those two colors mixed together. And you can do that same thing also, like if you wanted just to mix the colors together on the page, but you see it's like a different, it acts a little bit different. I should have grabbed my quilting iron and plugged that in. Do I have it over here? Just to show you what it looks like heated. I have to do that, and I have a couple of videos that show that, but you can see how, depending on how you use the pigment bar, you really can alter it. So you can see I mixed both colors together, so I get that that let's see if is that as far as I can zoom? There we go. It's hard to see in here, the contrast. I think there's a lot of light there. So if I bring this closer, let's use a darker color. Let me see, what do I have over here? So like here, this one is one of my favorite. I don't know what one I don't know what collection. This might be Saints in the Shadows. Look at that. It's so pretty. Actually, let me put my glove on. My hands are, it's getting really warm here today. I think we're like in the 80s. So my hands are hot and they're melting. So I like to wear a glove. Especially because if I want to do any work, like if I want to kind of move this out like that. So you see the undertone. So this one's got this beautiful, really dark maroon, but then when you blend it out with your finger or with a brush, you can get this other really beautiful pink undertone. So I could take, you know, a stencil and kind of move it around with, let me get, that brush is 2. Let me get one of my scrubber brushes. So I can move it and get the color that way. I can also take like one of my stencils and use one of these. So what I like to do is I normally put down the color like that, and then I just place my stencil wherever I want, whatever portion of the stencil I want, and then I'll take, this is a scrubber brush by Silver Brush, and it's nice and stiff, so it works great if you want to use it with stencils. So when you use it like this, you're gonna get that undertone color. Oh, and I just pressed the stencil into there, which is kind of cool. But you can see there, I purposely didn't do anything over there because I wanted to show you that how, you know, that color looks when it's darker. You can also use this when it's heated, which gives you a whole another way to play with it. Let's see. So this side has the super matte medium here, and then this side doesn't. And I don't know if you can see the difference. I can definitely see it when I look at it. In the camera, it might not look as, might not look that different, but this definitely has like a smoother application, and it gets a little bit more vibrant when it's on top of the textured surface. So that's one of the reasons why I like to use the super matte medium underneath it. And even when you use like these color pencils, so if I go here, it's still pretty, but you can actually see here's where the super matte medium is on this side, and then here is where it cuts off, and you can actually see the difference. See how it's a little lighter on that side and then a little darker on the other side, and that's because of that super matte medium. Let's see if I do a bigger swatch. I need to sharpen this thing. And I'm pressing about the same. It's harder to tell on that one. A little bit more. Let's see. So I always like to test my pencils scribbling inside of it, because I want to see which of my colored pencils work well with the wax. And because the Prismacolors are oil based, these are awesome with the pigment bars. Also, if you have any kind of like a, let's grab one of these, a graphite stick. I love working with graphite or charcoal. This is a graphite stick. Let's see if you see the difference on here. Not so, oh, there's nothing down there, that's why. I was like, how come it doesn't look like anything? You can definitely see the difference here with the graphite. So this has the super matte medium on this side, none on that side. See how much darker it gets? So if you want to work with that texture underneath, then I encourage you to play with the super matte medium underneath your paper, and that's the golden super matte medium. Let's see. Phyllis says, when the weather is hot, do the bars melt? No, you don't need to store them in the fridge. I mean, if you're in 100-degree weather and you have them out on your table and the sun is shining, they'll probably get noticeably a little softer, which will make them a little bit creamier, but I actually love working with them hot. I don't have my heated setup here, but you can actually, when they're heated, I showed in the beginning, in case you missed it, this is what they look like when they're heated. See how much more vibrant and opaque they are versus if you color with them, you still get the vibrancy in different colors, but you definitely see them pop more when they are painted. So if they get melted, it's totally fine. But it would take a lot for them to melt. Like you would have to leave it out sitting on here with the sun like shining down on it really, really hot for a long time. And you'll notice that they'll be a little slick. So I just recommend keeping them out of the sunlight. If you do live in a very high, hot climate area, then you may want to just make sure they're like in the shade, like tucked away in a drawer, but they should be fine. I mean, I leave these out most of the year when I'm working, and they work great. And we get 105, 110 temperatures here, but also when it's that hot, I have my air conditioning on. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. I was looking at my at the screen and it looked like it was frozen, but it looks like it's okay now. So you can also, let's see if we get any print off of, oh, actually, let's use this one because it's a little thicker. This paper's thick, so it works great to do the rubbings when you have a thinner paper, but this is like this is a drawing paper, I think. So you get a little bit of that texture. I just put, this is like I think it's like a gutter leaf thing. Found it at like the Home Depot or one of those one of those places. But if you use this with like, let's do a rice paper here. So this half has a little bit of melted pigment bar on this side. So I can put this here and you see the difference. You can really see that. Let's do it with something that has a little bit more of a contrast of a color. So you might be able to see a little bit better. Oops. So there's a little of the brown and a little bit of the green. I could also do this heated, like if I had this on the griddle and did it heated. Let's do it over here so you can see it. So you can leave it like that. I could also just take my fingers and kind of blend it if I wanted to have a little bit of that color kind of blended through, and you get some really beautiful prints using, this is rice paper. It's like a calligraphy, sumi, Japanese calligraphy, Chinese calligraphy paper. And let's see, this, if you have like any of my stencils. Let's grab another one of my stencils. Same thing, you can put any stencil underneath, but let's see, let's do these little, like this part here. So I just grabbed one. I think this is Nature's Graffiti one. This is one of the pinks in that collection. There's that. Let's see, there's this green. I think this might have been from like the Enchanted Evergreens. So you just have to make sure you don't move the paper too much, and then you get the print of that. And oh, I keep keep making a mess with that little print that I did here. I keep pressing the stencil into that wax. So then these can be used as collage papers if you want. So again, that's wax paper. I'm not wax paper, that is rice paper. And then we'll do a little thing with some parchment paper. So I can show you how you can make a little transfer. Where did I put that? So I just buy this paper in like, it's for baking sheets. I get it on Amazon and then I just tear it down to these smaller pieces. But what you do essentially is just coat this. Let's see, what color do I want to do? I guess we can do that color. With the pigment bar. So you just need a little, you could do this whole, you could actually color the whole page if you wanted to. Like so. And then let's do it over here. I'm just gonna take I'm just gonna use this pencil. You just basically need something that'll scrape into it. All of my pencils need to be sharpened. Okay, here's one that's not too bad. What do I want to do? Let's do some cute little flowers. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. I just realized I'm doing this on a brown background. So a little bit there. Yeah, you can see it. Let me bring it to the camera. So you can make these fun little transfers with the pigment bars. And so that's just using parchment paper. And let's do this on like an area that doesn't have anything underneath it so you can see. So the fun way to get the color down onto the surface using the pigment bars in another way. So if you just wanted to like make little marks with it like this, you could do that too. And then you get those little marks there. Just little subtle pieces of color. I didn't really make anything on this page. I did just a lot of like random experiments so that you could kind of see. This was part of the spring collection, this color here. This is still wet, and I kind of messed it up because I smashed my stencil into it a couple of times. Where's my little... thing? I don't know where it went. Nice thing is that I can, you know, if I wanted to kind of move this around, I can. I can add more other, let's see, mark making things. This is also Prismacolor. And let's see if I have any. Here's some water soluble. Let's see what happens when I put the water soluble. not too much, because the oil and wax, I mean, oil and water obviously repel. So here's a little bit of the color. Let's see if I do it on top of here. That's not too bad. Or there's a little, because it's like a little light application of the pigment bar. So not too bad to test it with, you know, another type of colored pencil. This is a Create a Color. I really love these. I got this in Hawaii when I was out there. Let's see, if you wanted to use it with, like, this is a Pastanelli pastel, you could use that also. Let's see what it looks like. This one is a metallic one. Let's see what happens if I put it on top like this. You could actually put pastel like that on top, because it is very loose pigment. If you rub it into the wax, it'll kind of coat the wax, which is a kind of an interesting effect. So again, I encourage you to make like a page of this kind of random scribbles just so that you can get a feel for like what it does, what all of the different materials you have do. And then you could label it, like once these dry, I could label, you know, so I know I put wax medium there. This side has the super matte medium and that side doesn't. So like that color there, which is, where's that bar at? Here. Let's see what it looks like on the super matte medium. Can you see that? Far away. So a little bit more vibrant, and then if I wanted to just do the mixture of it, and then take this side and just kind of blend it together, get that third color there. So you can see it's a little bit smoother application with the super matte medium versus that's the same color up there. And then definitely I can tell the difference between that and that green. The green is a lot less, it's more transparent on that side. The other pastels that I like, oil pastel, do I have any? I usually have a couple sitting here. My pastels also are fun with them too. These are my wax pastels, so they're a little bit harder than the pigment bars, and give you the ability to kind of play with a smaller line because they are smaller blocks of color. And one of the things that I really love about the pigment bars is that they make a great resist. So I'll do a little quick thing on this side. So I can draw just like a quick little blossom here. And then I use the other side just to kind of get a little bit of blending in there, because it is a lighter, like a really light gray, but it acts as like the blender, so I can kind of blend out some of these areas here. And then I can use, let's use one of my new colors. How about, oops. Let's use this orange. empty. Let me just clean this out a little bit so I can actually get an orange color. Let's see. Shar says, love the transfer technique. Did you get the rice papers at Daiso? Yeah, asking for a friend. Yes, I did. I love Daiso. Daiso is my friend. Daiso is the Japanese dollar. Now it's a $1.75 store. That is in. I know there's a bunch in California. I don't know where else. Oh, Seattle. I've been to one in Seattle. I have that, and then I want to use this little guy. Let's grab a little of the purple ink too, because I'm going to do this last little bit with this. I don't know if there's any color in here. Oh yeah, there is purple. Oops. We're going to put more purple in there. So with the inks, I give a couple of different tools. The pipette that I just used, and I love this needle blend. It's a blunt needle syringe, and I like to use it for drawing fine lines. So you just have to kind of like move quickly and move the tip slowly so you don't get like a ton of ink flying out of there. So it gives me just a little skinny line, and then I'm going to take my paintbrush which is, let me put that little thing. Hopefully my water's not too dirty. So the pigment bars act as a resist. I want to leave some of those thin lines there. I'm using a silver brush dagger striper. If you've been around my world for a while, you know it's one of my favorite. The dagger is one of my favorite types of brushes to use to paint flowers, because it has this natural angle at the brush. This is a golden natural. It's one of my favorite like brushes to use for watercolor. And everywhere I put the pigment bar down is going to act as a resist. You can also use acrylic paint. That's what this one is. Let's find it. Actually, I'm not going to be able to find it. I don't see it. I'll have to look later and see if I can find it. So I can let that go. This ink that I just used is from the Wildflower collection that is part of the ink subscription. There are a couple, I opened up a couple more spots because I did make extra inks. So if you go to my website, you can find it under the ink subscription tab. Let me get that orange in here. I want to put a little orange, but I wanted to clean out my brush color. This one is kind of, it's actually like a ginger peach color. It's really pretty. Actually, I think what I'll do is make a new, another. And then I should put a little, here's my pastel. green. I need a little green stem. So funny, like I just had a bunch of the colors. Oh, here it is. This is. So the nice thing about these bars is that they have a thick and a thin side. So if you use the side kind of flat like that, you can get a thicker line, and then you just have to raise it to use the corner, and then you get that thinner line. And I could come in if I wanted to kind of smooth that out or just leave it. When this dries a little bit more, I could come in with, I'm just going to take some of that out because I want to use this oil pastel. So then I could come in with, yeah, it has to be a little bit more dry. I'm impatient. But I can come in with like an oil pastel if I want to add color in there too. Just gotta let it dry a little bit more. And then I could come in with my Prismacolor. And again, let it, definitely have to let that dry a little bit more. So, lots of different ideas and techniques, from wax to oil to, this has the oil in it, stencils. Oh, can you see that? I need a bigger space. And let's go this way. There we go. Doesn't look like much because all I was doing was doing a bunch of little sample techniques. So if you came late, I've got super matte medium underneath the half of this page. I worked with a bunch of my different pigment bars, with stencils, with rubbing plates, like just random found mark making tools I have, and then showed a little bit of how you can blend it with wax medium that has linseed oil, and then a bunch of my favorite color pencils and oil pastels and regular pastels. We did a little bit of the transfer technique. Let's see. I saw a question. Sassy says, what does it look like on the color side after you do the mark transfers? So this is what it looks like. You can still see there's a lot of color. Here's the side that I drew on. So you can actually see, I used a green pencil, so you can't see it that much, but you can see there's a lot of color still left on there. So I can do a bunch more transfers and mark making if I wanted to. Do that, you know, I can always come back to it and use it again later. So here I just did a little scribble, and there's still a lot of the pigment bar on there, so that will give you a lot of, like, if you wanted to do a lot of kind of embellishment with the transfer technique. Let's see. And then a little bit of wax resist. I would go back in here once this dries to add in some other mark making with some other tools. That's a really pretty green. This is another Prismacolor. But I like to do a lot of this kind of exploration work, play work inside of my sketchbook, so that once I get in front of a canvas, then I can, you know, kind of refer back to some of these experiments that I did, and then decide if I want to use any of those in the work that I'm creating in a larger format. So I think that was everything. Then blending them. The only thing I didn't show in this one was how to use them heated, because that opens up a whole new world once you work with them heated. Oh, and then also the acrylic. Let me see if I can find that little acrylic. Oh, here it is, right here. So this is similar technique, but just different. I used ink and the pigment bar underneath the yellow, and there's another couple of pigment bars underneath there. And then this is acrylic paint versus I used ink to make the flower here. And then I used a little oil pastel over the top, and then a little color pencil. So you kind of see the difference. A little bit more transparent when you do use ink. And my inks are, these ones are the duotone ink, so they actually kind of shift in color depending on the paper that you're using. And this was mainly my Pigment Bars, and then golden fluid acrylics, and I think I might have used, yeah, it was only golden fluid in here. Sometimes I love using the Paper Artsy, the matte acrylics, to do some of the work with the Pigment Bars, because I love the matte look and feel or finish. This will be really fun to see how that dries when it's dry, the wax medium. But again, you know, play and create a page inside your sketchbook like so, if you want to, just to experiment with the types of paints and mediums and all of the mixed media that you have in your studio. I'm going to come back to the camera and answer some questions, see if we have any questions. So the Pigment Bars box subscription is only open for a couple more days. So if you want to join us, if you go into the description inside this video, you'll see the link. Or if you go to my website, tracibautistacolor.com, and right on the top of the navigation, it says Pigment Bars box, and you can find out all the details. It is a quarterly subscription, and you can either subscribe quarter, which is you pay every quarter, and it is a pre-order, so I make them and ship them the third month of each. I think it's the third month. Is that right? Let's see. January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, the third month of each quarter. So you actually get charged usually about a month or so before, because it does take time to make sure we have all the supplies and also to make the Pigment Bars and let them cure. So they normally don't ship out till the end of that final month. And you get access to a live workshop each quarter where I talk about the collection and the inspiration behind it, but then I also do some color mixing with that particular collection, and then also show you some fun mixed media techniques of how you can use all of my products with each other, but also with some of the mixed media that you have at home already in your studio. Let's see. Yeah, Heather says, ask all the questions. Let's see. Shar asked, do you water down the acrylics? Sorry, 20 questions. No, it's perfect. Please ask away. No, I do not. I usually will wet my brush a little bit, but I normally don't water them down. If I want to, sometimes I might use High Flow, which has a little bit more of like an ink viscosity kind of consistency. But you can, like if you were to wanted to do an acrylic wash, you could just take a wet brush and dip it into your acrylic paint to get it more like a watercolor. And you could use that. The thing with the acrylic, if you use like a little bit of a fluid or a heavy body, it will cover it and then you scrape it back. It's such a really beautiful look. If you like that kind of grungy look, like let's see, where did I put those things? I think they're underneath a pile. But those collages that I showed you that had some of the image transfers, I love using the acrylic resist technique with that, because it creates this like really kind of like grungy graffiti kind of like peeled paint look, which is really cool. Let's see. Heather says, orange, don't have that color yet. Yeah, Heather, are you in the ink subscription? It came in this most recent collection that just shipped this last week. And it's got the, it's like a green, hold on, let me see if I can hang tight for 1 second. Let me see if I can find the swatches. Oh, here they are. It's got, let's kind of put that there. So this color is so pretty. It's like a peachy ginger. It's kind of, it's reminiscent of the California poppy. So this is the wildflower collection. So there is this purple is like the lupin, like a very aggressive lupin. It's got a little bit of a hint of a blue in it. It's so pretty. It kind of actually has a hint of pink, depending on how much water is in your brush. There, it goes from pink to that lavender to a darker blue purple. And then there is this beautiful like duotone green blue color. So you can actually see the different colors in this one, how it dried. There's a hint of this like dark green gold and a little blue in there. And this one has a little bit of a mica in it. And I believe the purple does too. Yes, this one has a mica that it's kind of like a maroonish copper that's in there. You can't see it in this light, but it does have it in there. And then there's this really beautiful, like very blush lilac pink. It's like a more of a purple pink that's in that collection. So they work great because you could use this part as like floral stems if you wanted to, and then these all as different like flower colors. You can actually mix them all together and create your own new colors too. And they all are duotone, so they all have different they all have 2 or 3 colors that, depending on the paper you use, will come out. These are on just Strathmore watercolor paper. And I believe, yeah, Strathmore, it's the 200 series. And also, I think I have a Canson water, a little bit heavier. So you can see what happens with the wax medium because it has oil in it. So to prevent that, I would have done this technique on like either oil paper or used a piece of like gessoed paper or canvas. But I just did this really quickly earlier just to show you what that wax medium does. And then the collages I was talking about for the wax resist are these. If you're in the Play Collective, I think it was last month's workshop, I taught how to make these step by step where we did the image transfers. So underneath like all of this area where it's scraped back here and a little bit under here, that's the pigment bar, and that's what I was talking about. You get this like grunginess, so you have to like either sand it back with like just a little sandpaper, or with the palette knife. I just take the palette knife and scrape it back. It comes off pretty easily, but if you want more of a grungy look, you can actually sand it with the sandpaper too. So that's just a little bit of the sample of what the pigment bars do. Okay, let me come back to my camera. And let me look to see if we have any more questions. Yeah, Shar says Daiso has changed so much. Yeah, not everything is $1 to $3 anymore. Yeah, I know. Phyllis asked, did you use the rice paper for the transfer? No, I used parchment paper. So I used like no, that one's the bleached parchment paper. So I just get these really large, like 12 by 18 sheets that are for like for your cookie sheet to bake with on Amazon, and I love those. You can also use deli paper, works great, and parchment paper. Those are the 2 that I use for the transfers. And let's see, did I miss anybody's questions? I think I got everybody's questions. So again, if you are a subscriber and have any questions, the best way to contact us is through, if you go to the shop, on the bottom right hand corner, there's a chat button. And that way it doesn't get lost in my email, and you can ask questions there too if anything comes up. If you have a question and you're watching this video, you can also put it in the comments here, and I'll do my best to come back and watch or to answer questions. But thank you everybody who joined me. If you're still here, have fun watching the replay, and I would love for you to join us. You have a couple more days to join us for the Pigment Bars subscription. If you're on my email list, I also have something really special coming up. After we close the doors here, I'm going to have a little fun VIP private spring summer virtual shopping event. So I'm going to share more about that this week. If you're on my email list, you'll get an invite to that, and it is going to be all online. I have a bunch of additional watercolor tiles and some of my excess stuff that I am going to be putting up in the shop, and they're just like one or two of each of them. So if you missed any previous collections, you may be able to score some of these extras that I've discovered in my shop. So that is everything I think I wanted to cover today. I would love to have you in the Pigment Bars subscription, and thank you so much for those of you who are subscribers and who have been around, or even if you're just discovering me, also welcome. Thanks for watching. And I will see you all in my next live stream or my next video. Okay, everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye.